Yeah, it's outrageous, Jesse, but it really does raise the question, who was making the money here? Because here's the thing I notice about Comer's report. Hunter Biden is in a bunch of these meetings. Now, Hunter Biden doesn't go anywhere where there's not money involved. So I just want to know, like, how many Hunter Biden paintings, how many masterpieces did Anthony Fauci have to buy in order to get his pardon? What about Liz Cheney? Like, what did she have to pony up in order to get her pardon? I mean, you know that there's an angle on this thing. Follow the money. Somebody's making a lot of money.
Nothing this incredible and insane has happened before. This was not something that the forefathers anticipated. It's unprecedented. There is no legal precedent because no previous president had an autopen or had the audacity to have people signing things on their behalf when they didn't even know what was in it. And so we're in uncharted waters as a nation. As we say up here all the time, we're so tired of making history. I just want normal times, normal Congress again. But the Biden administration was unprecedented in so many ways, and the president was checked out of his job for quite some time, and everybody knows it. And there was a cover-up. The people around him who were they would give him scripts to follow. They would point him literally in the direction, stand here, sir, wave like this. And he didn't know what he was signing. So there's all sorts of just incredible implications. It sounds like a terrible novel or something, but this is reality. And so the pardons, for example, he pardoned categories of violent criminals and turned them loose on the streets, and he didn't even know what the categories were, apparently, much less the individual people that he pardoned. They're invalid on their face. I mean, I used to be a constitutional law litigator. I would love to take this case and go into the courts and make that law to set the precedent. You can't allow a president to check out and have unelected, unaccountable, faceless people making massive decisions for the country. Think of the executive orders that were signed with the autopen. When he paused LNG exports, liquefied natural gas, to our European allies around the world, I confronted him about it, by the way, the one meeting they allowed me to have with him as Speaker in the Oval. And he looked at me as if it hadn't happened, and he said, I didn't do that. And it occurred to me, he wasn't lying. He honestly didn't know. Do you know what the implications of pausing LNG exports were around the world? It made all of our European allies had to buy their natural gas from Vladimir Putin, which fueled his war machine, to go conduct his war on Ukraine. It destabilized our energy sector, and it had us step back 3 or 4 steps of energy dominance around the world. Thankfully, we're back now because we have a commander-in-chief who's fully in command and understands the necessity, energy policy being national security policy. I could go on and on and on in every category. Huge implications. What does it mean for us? How do you unwind it? I don't know. But it will be determined in the courts ultimately. And these are unprecedented cases of a first impression, as we say, because it's never been tested before. But man, is it.
You can't always tell everything that's going on right up front, because if you tell everything that's going on right up front, then your enemy is going to know exactly what you're doing.
I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
So yeah, we have a bigger issue than just Democrats. We have an issue of the American indoctrinated people that just let things like this go. It's been happening for years and years and years, and frankly, I'm sick of it. And so I'm just telling you, they're telling you, and they've been telling you this stuff in front of your face for a really long time.
Our own government working against us. I mean, we've always had the government working against us. We just didn't know it. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's April and June. It's not like we didn't know this stuff was happening. We already knew this a long time ago, that this stuff was happening. We've been saying it. I don't think this is anything new. Okay, let's see what you guys have to say over here. We got people by the way, we've got people on Rumble and Twitch and Twitter, X, Facebook, various YouTube channels, so we broadcast over a lot of different formats. Star, nice to see you. And Kim, she says, we missed you yesterday, Linda. Linda Dubois is one of my longtime moderators there. Yep. And let's see who else is in. Felix is over there on Rumble. Nice to see you. My treasury package goes out later today. Yeah, great. That's wonderful. Let's see. That autopen should have had biometrics in place in order to have ever access it. Oh yeah. But then they would have just cut out his finger. I mean, You know what I'm saying? Have you guys ever watched one of those movies? Yeah. So I don't know, that would have helped. What we have going on is a swamp of corruption, of Looney Tunes. Yeah, I agree with that. It's ridiculous out there. Unelected people using it willy-nilly. I know that they were covering their tracks, obviously. Mike Johnson comes out. I want to say hi to John over there on Rumble too. Mike Johnson comes out and he acts like, we're just finding this out. No. If you think that these people don't know what's happening before they ever get even to their offices, they know exactly what's happening. I mean, okay, for example, in the newsroom, when we used to sit around, we knew a lot more stuff than we would say on the news, because sometimes you can't tell everything. And the reason that you can't tell everything is because the people get themselves in an uproar. And also it's kind of like the telephone game where you tell them and then they go out and say something completely different that you didn't even say at all. Now, in this particular case, the Biden autopen thing is a huge legal issue. And it's not just because of the pardons. It's not just because of that. It's because of all the executive orders. Ketanji Brown, okay? Ketanji Brown should start packing her suitcases right now because, wow, she is the dumbest member of the Supreme Court anyway. I mean, if you want to know what a DEI hire looks like, that would be it, okay? Because she is totally a Looney Tune. If you really analyzed anything that she's saying whatsoever, and I played what she was saying, I think I played it last week. Some of her ridiculous rhetoric. I don't know how those other people that are sitting on the Supreme Court can take their job seriously when they got that clown sitting right there. It's just ridiculous. They could all see what was going on. Yeah, of course, they all knew what was going on, and it was just a cover up for everyone. Did you hear any Republicans actually coming out and saying in the very beginning, I don't think this guy is mentally qualified to do anything, even though we knew it? I mean, look at the campaign trail. The guy didn't even figure out what was going on. It's like, wow. So, and it was also clear that there were times when he seemed as if he was speaking correctly or whatever, which it's almost seemed like, okay, now he's all hyped up on some kind of drugs, don't know what they are, and he can articulate stuff. And then the next thing you know, he's in a speech saying yabba dabba doo. So I don't know. It's just to the point where it's just over the top and ridiculous. So I want to show you some of these videos over here because John Solomon, Arctic frost and the autopen thing kind of go hand in hand. All right. So I've got some testimonies about the autopen and the Arctic frost thing. So I'm going to start out though with this autopen and then we're going to discuss it just a little bit because I do have a document that was put out that will tell you a little bit more about this autopen situation. But let's talk about this one first. I'm pretty sure this is about the autopen.
Signs, he communicates his assent and endorsement of the action he takes. The autopen is a device that signs the president's signature to a document. The oversight project, of which I am a board member, has discovered that the Biden White House deployed an autopen to affix President Biden's signature to pardons, prison commutations, executive orders, and presidential proclamations. Yep. The Oversight Project's research has found that the Biden White House first deployed the autopen to affix President Biden's signature to a proclamation on day 5 of his administration. And that there were at least 3 different autopen signatures in use throughout President Biden's tenure in the White House. In June 20.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which one will we do today? Because if we do them all the same all the time, then they're going to know that we're using the autopen.
2022, the Biden White House began deploying the autopen to sign clemency warrants and executive orders.
Clemency and executive orders.
Autopen use skyrocketed from there. We found that of the 51 clemency warrants issued during the Biden presidency, over half, 32 in total, were signed with an autopen. And these include some of the most controversial acts of clemency of the Biden presidency, including death row commutations and the preemptive pardons of members of the Biden family, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and more that were issued in the final days of the Biden.
Exactly. Kim's saying pardons for what? Exactly. If you're not committing a crime or doing anything wrong, what do you need a pardon for? It just doesn't make any sense at all to do this. And but they knew they were committing crimes. Obviously, they knew it was money laundering. They knew that they were money laundering. I mean, that's almost like the administration of the autopen and destruction of the United States, as well as money laundering. That's the whole thing.
Presidency. We reviewed President Biden's schedule in his publicly available media and were unable to find any record of President Biden's personally approving these actions, such as a statement issued by the president himself to reporters.
Which it's supposed to have that. It was supposed to have permission. Okay. Now, thanks. Thank you so much. If you're not doing anything wrong, what would you need a pardon for? I know. That's popcorn over there on Rumble. Yeah. What do you need a pardon for if you're not doing anything wrong? That's what I want to know. Here is, now he was just telling you that he was the chairman of this committee. This report was prepared by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform Majority Staff, October 28th, 2025, which was yesterday. So this is the newest document that's out there on this autopen, and it's 100 pages long. So we're not going to go over all of that, but I want you to know that the document is available if you want to go and look at it. And what this document is saying is, let's just say it's very, very revealing, because they're not, I don't think they're going to get away with this. Okay. So this report, it's saying that Joe Biden experienced significant mental and physical decline during his, I don't really like to call him a president because I don't know, the vegetable in charge, which was visible and nonetheless downplayed by his inner circle. It claims that the senior White House staff and advisors concealed this decline from the public, creating a communication strategy to maintain the appearance that the president was fully in control. Now, during the Biden era, I never called him my president ever, because I don't believe that he ever was. Okay. I think that he was more just a figurehead. He was installed there because they knew that if they didn't put him there, then President Trump would be in office. I mean, that's, I do have to say, I do think that the split in Trump's presidency was perfect, because he had 4 years to gather information and then 4 years to figure out what they're going to do with it. And the raid on Mar-a-Lago was about Obama trying to get back a couple of documents. So see, I don't think any of this stuff is by accident at all, as far as Trump is concerned. I think it's strategic for sure, because it's so easy. These guys are so predictable. They don't make it hard. Okay. They don't make it hard at all to figure out what they're doing. Talk about some bumbling criminals. Now, drone was up for 5 years. Yeah, all of these things that they did were completely illegal. And I'm pretty sure, see, Donald Trump, when he took those documents, which he can, yeah, I think it was treason too, because it's actively working against the American people. It's actively working to subvert the government, which would be we the people. Okay. And the Constitution does provide a remedy for that. And yeah, I think this is going to be very severe. The report finds that standard decision-making processes and documentation of Biden's direct approval were often weak inconsistent, or missing. I'm just telling you what the document says, that report that I just showed you a minute ago, particularly in relation to executive orders and the use of an autopen, a machine that replicates signatures. So, I mean, you can buy an autopen. I don't know if you know that or not. You can buy an autopen. You put your signature on a piece of paper, and then it's digitized, and then a pen can sign all the books for you or sign all the stuff for you, whatever. The committee states that in many cases, there's no record showing that Biden personally made the decision or signed the document in question. He didn't even know. They assert that some actions signed via the autopen are not clearly approved and should be considered void. So there's tons of them like that. And saying just say his term. The Biden era. Yeah. Everything that was signed under autopen should be void and revoked. I think it's going to be. I think this is the preliminaries to getting rid of it, because, and that means Ketanji Brown, who is installed, is probably in jeopardy. And I hope so, because she is ridiculous. Constitution, she doesn't even know what a woman is. How can you be a judge if you can't even say what the definition of a woman is? And the other thing I don't like about these judges very much is when they're asked a question, they dance around the issue. All of them do that. And it doesn't matter what side they're on. And I say side because they absolutely are biased. Everyone in the administration should be in prison. I agree. You're talking about Biden. I agree. That whole entire group was working to destroy the United States of America. Okay. And when I say destroy, I'm talking about the corporate and the republic, both. Okay. I'm not talking about just the corporation itself. I'm talking about all of it. Yes, they were all complicit. And I think they all knew what was going on. I don't think it was any kind of surprise at all. Nice industrial tech. Nice to see it. Obama's presidency is void. Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. No person except natural born citizen. Obama was born overseas and his birth certificate is fake. I know. You know what? That's coming out too. That is really coming out. And some of that stuff that is really weird about Obama, like you can't find his college records. They somehow they just disappeared because people started looking into it. But it is very well known that he put himself as a foreign student in order to get student aid. So it's like, kind of, is it similar to Pocahontas, who decided that she was an Native American Indian so she could get some kind of scholarship? You see what I'm saying? It's all ridiculous. Okay, so this report also says it specifically calls for the Department of Justice, the DOJ, to launch a comprehensive review. Now, remember, this just came out yesterday. A comprehensive review of all executive actions taken during Biden's term, which would have been from January 20th, 2021 to January 19th, 2025. Who was the sheriff that came out with Obama facts and they shut him down? Was that Joe Arpaio? I think it was, from Arizona. I'm pretty sure that was who that was. Okay, so, it names key aides in here. And these people have already done a testimony once, at least, in front of a congressional committee, which I think was the Oversight Committee. Jeff Zients, Annie Tomasini, Anthony Burnell, and Kevin O'Connor. Okay, all of them pleaded the fifth. All of them. So it's like, okay, why do you need to plead the fifth? Are you afraid that you're going to incriminate yourself on something? The committee, it names the key aides who the committee asserts played roles in the alleged cover-up or in the decision-making process that lacked clear presidential involvement. And don't forget, the other person who pleaded the fifth was Biden's doctor. At the least, everything after they found him not able to be prosecuted should be void. I agree. I thought that was really weird. Okay, so on one hand, they're saying, oh, he's just as sharp as a tack. And then, but he's not fit to be prosecuted. You can't have a trial. He's not fit for that. But he's definitely sharp as a tack, and able to run the biggest country. Yeah, he can do it. Like, what? They all took the fifth. All of them took the fifth. Even Fauci, all of them, they're taking the fifth. Surprised that the doctor is still breathing. Yeah, well, he hasn't come out and said anything otherwise other than what he was told to do. I mean, the report argues that because of unclear chains of custody, which is true, weak documentation and autopen usage without clear presidential authorization, many executive actions, especially presidential pardons, may be illegitimate. And of course they are, but in these findings, they have to say alleged, could be, maybe, because they're saying, well, we're not the judge. Yeah, we are. We are the judge. The findings are drawn from a committee majority report, not a court ruling, just so you know. So this is the recommendations that they're saying. The Democratic minority on the committee strongly disputes the conclusions. Let's see. Did anyone not know that? Is that news? I don't think so. The report acknowledged that autopen is not itself illegal. That's true. Autopen is not itself illegal. It's the way that it was used, because Biden didn't know. So like some of these senators and congressmen in the House, they will use a lot of autopen because they're not going to sit there and they're not going to sign like all their, I don't know who'd want a picture of them, but all their letters, all that stuff. Sometimes they don't even know what their staffers are doing. That has been an undercover video from James O'Keefe. He's got different staff members saying, well, they don't necessarily know everything we're doing. So who's running the show here? It seems like it's the staffers. It's not actually the people who were elected. Now, were they elected or selected? I think some were elected, but I think most were selected. I really, really do. And it doesn't make any difference what side they're on. I think both sides are a problem. Let's listen to this.
Jill Biden.
Yeah.
And she
Jill
just
Biden.
acted as the de facto president. And that's what many reports have
See?
said. And she
Okay,
ran
look.
cabinet meetings.
Look at this. Joe Biden is not in the room. First Lady joins President Biden in cabinet meeting. He's not even there. He's not there. She's there. Look what she's got in her hand. Watch this.
Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
And it was grotesque to watch. No one's ever seen a woman behave like this in the White House.
That's true.
What's to be made of Jill Biden's role in all this?
Well, she had a significant role. We didn't bring Jill Biden in because it was going to take forever, and time is of the essence, because you've got a situation where a lot of these people in the deep state can't be held accountable. I know there's a lot of people frustrated that no one's been arrested yet or anything else. Well, a lot of them were granted pardons. Well, now, with our investigation, the pardons, if the Department of Justice does what we've recommended, the pardons will be declared null and void. So there's nothing stopping the Department of Justice from going after the deep state and going after Dr. Fauci.
Now, I remember back in the day when we would say deep state and they would say, you're a conspiracy theorist. And now the term deep state is all over the place, And they were calling me a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, but there is a deep state. It's a shadow government. I mean, everybody who's anybody already knows that. And now it's just like mainstream term.
For everything that he put us through, or the January 6th committee for falsifying documents, or the Biden family for taking millions and millions of dollars from our enemies around the world, lying about it, and then not paying taxes on it. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of who the autopen pardoned on the way out the door. And again, there's no chain of custody. Every staffer essentially gave a different account for how the autopen was to be used. And I don't think that would hold up. If you ran a Fortune 500 company and operated like that, I don't think that would hold up in a circuit court in any state in America, much less the presidential power of the pardon. in the way that was operated by the Biden administration.
Should Joe Biden's Dr. O'Connell, should he lose his license?
Yes.
Well, I think that he's going to have to explain why that they didn't give Joe Biden a cognitive test, or did they give Joe Biden a cognitive test and he failed?
He did.
He's going to have to explain why they didn't test Joe Biden for prostate cancer, or did they test Joe Biden for prostate cancer and he had it and they lied about it?
Of course.
And I think he's going to also have to say, why did you continuously write down that he was in a picture of health mentally and physically when everyone in America could see with their own eyes that he was not? Now, those are all questions we tried.
Just so you know, I think these people have compromised themselves in one way or another through senior executive services. And we'll talk about that in just a second.
You ask him, and he pled the Fifth Amendment to avoid self-incrimination. Now, if you have the Attorney General do an investigation, he's not going to have as many options. And if he continues to plead the Fifth, then I think he should lose his license. Because he was America's doctor, essentially. He didn't work for Joe Biden. He worked for us. He was the White House physician. Right. And you can't have the White House physician lying about people, so especially if they have cancer, especially if they take a cognitive test and fail it.
I don't know if you know this or not, but this is not the first time that they have covered a president's health, covered it up.
So, at the end of
however, this guy had a mental problem. The other ones just had physical problems.
The day, that clip you showed of Jill Biden, when she said they never even talked about taking a cognitive test, that is a lie. They did talk about it. Every single one of the people that we brought in that was in Joe Biden's inner circle said, yeah, we talked about taking the president taking a cognitive test to shut up the critics, but then we eventually decided against it. Now, why would you decide against it? Either you knew he would fail it, or he took it and failed it and you covered it up.
That's so ridiculous because remember when Jasmine Crockett and all them were saying that Donald Trump needs to take a cognitive test, and he says, sure, no problem, bring it on. See, that's the whole difference. I mean, okay, so Senior Executive Services was and still is the organization that the department, I guess, if you want to call it that, was started by, do you remember Abel Danger, his sister? I can't remember his real name. It came and went. Anyway, she started Senior Executive Services. Now, he can't stand her. But, happy 8 years. Have I been? Oh, Field McConnell. Yeah. Okay. So all you had to do is say Field McConnell. Yeah. Field McConnell, AKA Abel Danger, did not like his sister. Okay. I had him on my show and he was talking about the Senior Executive Services and how his sister had started it, and that she is part of the issue and the problem because her specific job is to find and blackmail find things and blackmail people who are sitting in political positions. Okay, that's exactly what they do. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same thing to the doctor. I mean, why wouldn't they? What would be the point of not doing that when they could? So they have something over his head. Now, the other thing that Democrats are notorious for doing is threatening violence on their political enemies or people that they want to strong arm into doing something. And that's exactly what they do. So, I don't know if you guys ever watched the show House of Cards, but it is so filled with what the Senior Executive Services would be doing. You should go back and watch that show. I'm telling you, all the stuff that's in that movie is exactly that show is exactly what they're doing. Fourth branch of government, deep state, unelected bureaucrats, unaccountable to we the people, that so far heads of independent agencies can't be fired by presidents per Humphrey's executive ruling. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. I think House of Cards was a good show. Unfortunately, it's real. That's probably the biggest issue is the fact that it is a real thing. Okay. Senior Executive Service, that's all they do is they team a person up with the target, and then they do whatever it takes to find the dirt on that person. And then they can manipulate them and do whatever they want. But some people are just easy. They just want money. So it doesn't make any difference. That they'll do whatever they're told. That's true. It did definitely show their game plan for sure. And I don't know about you, but I'm personally sick of it. Okay. I am sick and tired of this political circus. And I think it's mostly because of independent journalists is why we're finding out all this stuff. Because if it wasn't for independent journalists, we probably wouldn't know any of this stuff. I mean, Benny Johnson is one of the guys that I just showed you a minute ago on his show. He's independent. All these independent people started coming out and doing their own shows because they were so controlled by the liberals. It's ridiculous. And part of this, I don't know if you want to call it conspiracy to take over the government or make sure that the coup stayed in place between Obama, then there was Trump, and then Biden, try to keep that coup going that they did. See, if it wasn't for President Trump, the coup would have happened and we would be worse off than we already were during Biden's administration. But listen to this. Listen to this woman.
You can't speak, you can't walk. So let's just drop the gloves and be real for a moment, okay? I find you disgraceful. That you've hidden from the American people your clear diagnosis, whatever it is. You have it. We all see it. And so does the rest of the world. Liberals will say I'm being ageist or ableist, but what I am is a realist. I like honest people, which is why I so thoroughly dislike you. You are a corrupt, lying, farcical shell of a human being. You sold out our national security to enrich yourself and your family. Your son is a tragic disgrace. And isn't it sad that some of us actually feel sorry for the guy? Because all he probably ever really wanted was for you to love him. But you love something else more. You. And this entire made-up story surrounding you. You capitalized on the deaths of people in your family to strike a sympathy nerve, to make up for your clear mental mediocrity, but you didn't sell me. And you haven't sold tens of millions of other Americans. Your entire family, sadly, is dysfunction. 9 of you were paid by foreign governments to do what? To look out for the best interests of this great nation? No, to look out for you. We all have issues in our lives. We're all struggling with something or someone. It's difficult, I get it, but our entire lives aren't lies, and yours is. You shut down our energy independence and pushed a bogus money laundering narrative under the guise of climate do-goodery. You caused prices to soar and shelves to go bare. You used the black community the same way you try to use college students in debt, all to stay where you are, protected, guarded, and out of prison. But I think, Mr. President, what you're most guilty of doing is so disgusting and so depraved that your lasting legacy will be simple disgrace. The Biden family will go down as the most corrupt first family in American history. That is why children don't like you, why they pull away from you, and why I have never trusted you. Your judgment day is coming, sir. I hope it was all worth it. Lies, cheating, corruption, cons, bribes, deals, the screwing of America, all because of you. We will teach our children about the Biden name. I promise you, our kids and grands will learn from us what never, ever to be like you.
Well, that was on Newsmax, obviously. Her name is Wendy Bell, and she was giving a commentary on what she thought. I want to see them pay for Afghanistan because that was treason against America. All of it. I don't think there's anything that wouldn't be considered treason at this point between Obama's administration and Biden. Okay. I mean, it's very clear that they tried to usurp the will of the American people, and they're still doing it today. And then they have their little shills running around like Antifa, who's being paid by George Soros, and then a bunch of liberals who cause and wreak havoc all over the place. They've literally convinced people that there's like, I think it was last count, like 175 genders or something like that. They've literally convinced people of that stuff. And they've convinced people that children are in the womb are just a clump of cells. They have no ability to reason whatsoever when they're contradictory constantly, hypocritical constantly. And it's almost as if both sides are playing against you. And I believe that they are. You know, here's an example. All right. So yesterday we were talking about the courts, and before that we were talking about the courts and how corrupt they are. We can see the corruption of the courts because when you take stuff like this into the court, you're dealing with, miraculously, you keep getting dealt a dirty card by the supposed justice system. It's more like the injustice system. It's a banking cartel. And so all of these things that they're going through right now, they always end up in court, don't they? Aren't they always ending up in court? And then they got to go to the Supreme Court because the lower court won't do what they're supposed to do. Well, let me just tell you something, and I'm going to tell all of you this right now. And you're probably going to go, are you seriously kidding me? And no, I am not seriously kidding you right now. And this is really not off topic, but it's something that you really need to know. Every single court case has a bond on it. You probably heard that before and you went, you can't prove that. Yeah, you can. It's called the CRIS, C-R-I-S. It's called the Court Registration Investment Service. That's where they register all of the bonds that go to court. That's how the court makes money. The court is all about making money. And what you should be doing is asking the court clerk through a FOIA to tell you what the bond number is with that CRIS. Because it's amazing to me how these corrupt judges, because you go in for a 5-minute hearing, you're out. Yeah, it's totally a club. The content of what are the cases doesn't matter. That's why they're not reading them. They don't care. It is a money machine. They don't care the content because the content of the case has nothing to do with the bond itself. That's why they don't read it. That's why the judges, because, you know, I've often wondered, why is the judge so stupid? Why is the judge so stupid? They're put up there on purpose. They're probably the dumbest guy in the class. And they said, this person will do whatever they're told. So let's just put them up there. Okay. And that's why you keep getting these judges that don't know anything about the Constitution. So now we're going to put this stuff, the autopen, in front of a judge that's dumber than a box of rocks, doesn't know anything about the Constitution, doesn't know anything about the law whatsoever. And we're supposed to tell them, because believe me, they don't know. All they know is what they're told. So now they don't read the discovery. They don't read the evidence. They don't read the documents. Why? Because it's a bond on there. And as long as the case is open, they're making money. And believe me, just because they have a judgment, it's still making money. Because those bonds have 30 years on them, at least 30 years on them. Some of them are even more than that. But it's about 30 years on each one of the bonds to mature. And they keep maturing. It's at 2.6 to 2.7% interest. So you do a FOIA request with the on the court clerk and say, I want another CRIS accounting for this case. I want to know that. I want to see your SF 215, your SF 219. What are those? They're the deposit. The 215 is the deposit form that they have to put in to be able to start that bond. The 219 is the investment proof. You want those two documents. You're going to say that on every single course. So every single one of these court cases, all the ones that they put against Trump, all the ones that they put against every single one of these people, all of them are making money. None of these judges should be even judging anything whatsoever. Nothing. Zero. Because they have a conflict of interest from the very beginning of the court case. So here you got this huge conspiracy that's against President Trump and all of us, putting it into a court system that's totally a bank, making money on all of the things that they're doing. The entire system is so corrupt, it is unbelievable. And the people at the top know it. Some of the judges don't know it, but it doesn't even matter whether it's lower court, upper court. Doesn't matter. State court, fed court, whatever, bankruptcy court, they're all the same. So you think that you've been screwed on the autopen. Well, guess what? You're also screwed right in your own community. You are. And it's almost like no matter what we do, we're going to have to put it into the court system just to prove that it's corrupt. Do you think the news organizations are going to care? No. Because we've already proven that a lot of these people are installed by the CIA. Are you kidding me? Remember the guys who broke the story on Nixon for the tapes? Well, yes, it's definitely treason. And they are using intellectual properties without your written authorization. I know. It's just to the point where it's just over the top. Every single time you turn around, it's treason of some sort. It's against us from owning property. It's against us from running our lives. It's against us from having a president that even cares about the people at all. It's all about money and power. It's all of it. Every single thing is about money and power. So, I mean, I don't even know if you guys even understand what I just said to you a minute ago. Let's listen to John Solomon.
Inner circle, Joe Biden's inner circle, covered up for the country the fact that he was in mental decline and that he was so unavailable to do his job on a daily basis that the staff secretary, probably the most important person in the White House, the guy you see next to Donald Trump every time he has a press conference and he's signing a document, Will Scharf. Well, Joe Biden's version of that person, Nara Tanden, didn't see him for 6 to 8 weeks at a time. She had no idea whether he'd approved the documents that were coming through her hands. He was an AWOL president in decline, and the people around him misled the American people. That's what this report says. And then the man sitting right next to you on the screen, Jim Jordan, releases some bombshell documents today in this other investigation. What do we know now? We know that the memo that the FBI used to open up Arctic Frost, which then targeted 160 Republicans, 92 conservative groups, 8 senators, 1 House member, a president, and a vice president, was really deficient under the guidelines of the FBI. The memo that opens up Arctic Frost uses words like evidence suggesting. It doesn't actually lay out a predicate. And it's looking at a crime that by submitting alternate or fake electors, as they use, or fraudulent electors is the term they use here, they committed a crime. The memo does not address the fact that in 2 prior times in American history, similar fake, fraudulent, or alternate electors were submitted in South Carolina, 1876, Hawaii, 1960. No prosecution occurred. That isn't even mentioned in the FBI memo. So bombshell stuff from Jim Jordan and James Comer today.
What are you interpreting from these discoveries? And the question I get asked most often, you come up with all this information and nothing ever happens. Now, things are beginning to happen that never happened before. Where do you see this going?
I think Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are going to continue to provide extraordinary clarity to Chairman Jordan, Chairman Comer, and others to get the evidence to make the decisions about whether crimes were committed in this process. What you're seeing in Arctic Frost is a redo of Russia collusion, a weakly predicated case that looks like a Democratic opposition research project being done by the FBI, and you get the National Archives and Congress helping them. I think that that's what this is going to turn out to be, another Russia case.
You see a prima facie case that they abused power and were spying on people without a proper warrant?
Yeah, I think the chairman has it right. This is a get Trump investigation. Now the question is, what laws were violated? Did people lie? Did they cover up? Did they commit crimes? Did they violate civil liberties? That's going to be Pam Bondi's decision. I think the grand juries are starting to really ramp up around the country. I think we'll see some more activity in the next few weeks.
I do too. Yeah. See, I just saw that there was a grand jury that was convening in Georgia, I think it is. And and I believe that grand jury is for Obama. So we know crimes were committed. I know that's the whole thing. We always know that the crime is committed. We can read the statute ourselves. They don't seem to understand that we are capable of reading. I'm facing made up charges that have totally messed up my work. And to hear that makes me sick to my stomach. Well, I know. I'm just telling you, it's all about the money. That's what it's about. Now, here's another portion of John Solomon's report.
Senator Grassi just sent this to me a little bit ago while we're on air. It's a major development. You're taking a look at a letter right there that was just sent to the FBI Director Kash Patel and the Attorney General Pam Bondi. What does it say? It says that Congress has obtained evidence that shows that the Biden White House was directly involved in trying to help start Jack Smith's investigation on the January 6th probe against President Trump. Specifically, that the White House counsel's office secretly obtained President Trump's and Vice President Mike Pence's former phones and giving them to the prosecutors, basically sicking the Justice Department on his future competitor, his future rival in the 2024 election, so that they could look for dirt for possible crimes. There's a lot more coming in. There's a lot of other evidence as well of the White House involvement. Remember, 2 years ago, we were the first news agency, right here, Real America's Voice, Just the News, to report that a White House counsel was directly involved with this investigation. Now, more details, including imagine this, you're the Democrat president and you go get the old Republican's phone for your prior president and send it to the Justice Department. That's what Senators Johnson and Grassi were able to confirm tonight. It's in that letter. Keep an eye on justthenews.com. We're going to get you up to speed on that all throughout the night. A lot more development.
Yeah. So all of these things are coming out to light. You know, the 17 posts they were predictable. They're right. And all those people who think that's just a conspiracy theory are wrong, because if they would have actually read the posts, they would have seen that it led to evidence that is now coming out in the mainstream. And so all of those people who called us conspiracy theorists and like YouTube blocking our channels, us getting censored on Facebook and everything else, losing our accounts on certain social media, totally unfair, because we were actually getting the facts and reporting them. But see, they didn't think it was time for you to know the truth. Now, all the stuff about COVID's coming out, all the stuff about the autopen, all the stuff about the money laundering. USAID is a money laundering facility for the mostly, I'm going to say mostly Democrats, but there are some people that are sitting in Republican seats that are Democrats that do the same exact thing. So it's not just exclusive to one side. It's more exclusive to people who are corrupt. And you can't put them all in one area. You have to understand that these people infiltrate every single fabric of your life, and it doesn't make any difference. I just told you about the court. You can't even hardly talk to a politician without some kind of wonder, are they going to compromise themselves? I mean, you know, so I have a really good friend. His name is Preston. I've told him over the years, I think this one's corrupt. I think that one's corrupt. And he's like, no, I think they're okay. I think they're okay. Only to find out later they're corrupt, you know, and that they're in it. They're in these things for themselves. And if it's not beneficial to them, Josh Hawley is like absolutely like that. Okay. If he doesn't think that whatever it is beneficial to him, he's not going to do it. He refuses to meet with people if he wants to deem them conspiracy theorists, because he sends out his little minions to find out, what exactly do you want? Should we even meet with you? I don't know. You know, is it good for my campaign? That's how he is, because he wants to run for president. So no, I don't have any use for that kind of thing. I think it's totally ridiculous. And that means that if you're compromised when you're where he's at today, if you're compromised in this regard, then you're going to be compromised later. When I tell people about the infiltration, a glazed look comes over their eyes. They just can't accept this reality. It's in every single thing. Okay. Okay, so the food industry itself is the same way. It was infiltrated from the top, from the FDA, and Palantir is doing the same thing. What about all the stuff that's in the air? That's getting on our crops. It's getting in our feed. So it just because it says it's organic doesn't mean it is. This sports betting thing. Oh, I know. The sports betting thing is really bad, and it's coming to Missouri as well with the politicians and entertainment industry. I know if they can get you gambling and entertainment driven, isn't everybody entertainment driven? Entertain me. That's how it always is. If I'm not entertained, then I'm out. I'm bored. I got to go. it used to be years ago when you raised your children, you tried to expand their ability to pay attention. Okay. So the rule of thumb was to punish a kid was, if they're 2 minutes, if they're 3 minutes, if they're 4 minutes, like that. And to try to get their attention span also to lengthen by saying, okay, we're going to read this for like 2 minutes, or we're going to read this for 3 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever, and make their attention span get longer. But that's not how we are today in our society. If we don't get what we want right now, we're out. And I think that's totally ridiculous. I've been rewatching a show, Downton Abbey, and I was sitting there the other day and I'm watching it and thinking to myself, man, these guys don't have cell phones in the show. Of course, it's a show. They don't have cell phones. They're outside. They're more active. They're going up and down the stairs, which is way more active than we are. They're riding horses. They're doing all kinds of things, taking picnics, walking back and forth from town to their houses, all kinds of things that we don't do today because we have cars, we have cell phones, we just call somebody. We have the internet, and it's like our attention spans are so small. We can't even sit down for 5 minutes and do something. Five minutes. Okay. And I've noticed it more and more that it's very difficult to just sit down and relax and talk to your friends. People have to keep getting up and doing something, and DoorDash, they don't even go out to do anything anymore. And now it's getting to the point, and I don't know if it's by design, but I think it is, that it's almost too dangerous to go out. There was a long time there that my mother, she is 82, I think now. My mother didn't have a cell phone for so long. And I kept saying, Mom, you got to get a cell phone because the world is too dangerous now. If we can't find where you are or something happens to you while you're out, we're not going to know. So you're going to have to get a cell phone, which she finally did. Now hers is minimal. She doesn't even like it. They don't know anything about taking pictures and, texting is out, all that kind of stuff. At least she's got it so we can call her. All right. But that's where we are in our society today. We are in a time when, TikTok, Instagram, all those things has made people dopamine addicted and ADD, sadly. Yeah, because when I was a kid, there was no such thing as ADHD. Are you kidding me? Or ADD. It wasn't even a thing. You disciplined your child to expand his or her ability to sit down and do something. And then the kids, like I have kids who they have a higher metabolism than the others, and they're also quicker in knowledge than the others. Okay, well, that means I got to treat them a little bit differently. I'm not going to dumb them down. I'm certainly not going to drug them up so that they can slow down to be with everybody else. That's ridiculous. So I would rather them be able to control themselves. Everybody's got to have some kind of discipline, everybody. And in today's society, it's getting to the point where it's very, very hard to discipline yourself to do and get things done. Okay, so on that note, I want to tell you, I've got this new book here. It's called Redeem and Recredit for those of you who are secured parties. If you're a secured party, this is the book you're going to want to get. This is the newest one. And it's all about taking those monthly bills and how to send them into the Treasury, endorsed like they're supposed to be, and how to submit them. Okay. So if you're the secured party, this is the book for you. It's called Redeem and Recredit. You can get it from me. None of my books are on Amazon. The only way you can get them is from me. Go to my website, which is aprilladjune.com, and you can look under the SBC info tab and you'll find all of the books there. And as always, all the books come with my help too. So you're not going to be alone trying to get through these books by yourself. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And just so you know, don't forget, on Friday, Malibu Dallas is going to be here, and we're going to be talking about all the stuff that happened over the week. Oh, yeah. and we're going to have some great commentary. So don't forget to join us at 2 to 3 p.m. Friday for Malibu Dallas.